What's up, world? Do. Solar eclipse. Total solar eclipse. So, I live in a zone that will be, I live in the zone, but I don't know if there's a name for it. Total solar eclipse over Arkansas, April 8th. Here you can see this path. Arkansas is an outstanding destination for the total solar eclipse. Be prepared to see the greatest sight nature offers, a total eclipse of the sun. What's up, mostly not working? So, I'm pretty excited about this. My parents have a farm, and we're going to go hang out on the farm. Let's see if I can zoom in on this picture a little bit. Let's see. I live inside this circle, which is the total shadow is going to happen in this spot. And I live in this circle. So I was getting on here to see if anybody had thoughts or interest in the total eclipse, solar eclipse coming up on Monday. But right now it's just me and mostly not working, hanging out. Arkansas is outstanding. Simply put, a total eclipse of the sun is the most beautiful sight you'll ever see in the sky. Nothing can compare you for the amazing sight when the sun suddenly darkens and the sun's corona shines in the sky. No photograph can capture the stunning beauty of a total solar eclipse. You must see it for yourself. So, got some other people joining in. I'm just saying on here that I live in Arkansas in a zone that in this total eclipse zone. So I'm kind of excited about this coming up, and I'm wanting to see if there's things people want to see or hear about. I could probably go live, but I wanted to get some feedback from people about this event coming up. There was a picture. I'm going to see if I can find it of someone took a picture from inside an airplane, and everyone asked where they were headed, and everybody in the plane said that they were headed to Arkansas for the eclipse. Like every hand raised. So, how many people will see the eclipse? I've been told, I live in this town of like 10,000 people, and I've been told that there's going to be 200,000 people in my town starting, I guess, close tomorrow. And they were telling us that we should gas up our cars and do all that. Gas up our cars and get groceries, go to the store, all that business. Anyways, got 4 people on here. Anybody interested in the solar eclipse coming up? Any comments about the solar eclipse? I was telling everyone on here that I'll blow this up again. That I live in this space, in this black circle where the total eclipse will be seen. I'm excited. Going up to my parents' farm. But I don't really have. Let's see. What else we got here? Great places to view. Is anybody, all four of my viewers here, is anybody making plans to see the eclipse or know anybody that was so excited that they wanted to make this trip to be in this zone here, this stream? Let's see. I don't know. What do you guys think is the biggest draw to come and see it, be a part of this? I wonder, I don't know how often this even happens, where the next one's going to be in the United States that you can participate in. I don't know. Let's see here. Well, I wish I had something more interesting to say, but I wanted to see if we could drum up a little conversation about the eclipse coming up. Oh, Matthew Parlato. You need to tell me some crazy conspiracy about or hop on here. I guess yeah. Gotta get on here. Here it is. Hop on. Let's see if you get on here and start talking. Come on, boy. My usual occasional chat, probably. I know, mostly. I know. No pressure. I've got street tacos to eat. Boy, you live in Texas. What time is it? That's a late. You got a late dinner. Catch up in the replay. There's nothing to catch up on here. I'm just looking for some conversation about the solar eclipse. The old solar eclipse coming up in Arkansas. Matthew, I don't know if you saw it. Let's see here. And I think J Cubed is indeed Parlato. Yeah, that's right. I got that one wrong, mostly. Yeah, eat on cam. I don't care. This is a live stream. This is where you pop on when you're at work with your yellow shirt on and you throw your safety goggles on. Yeah, dude, this isn't official podcast land. This is live stream free for all. Yeah, you're right. Mostly, I credited mostly not working when my conversation with Paul, and it's just hard to keep all the conversation straight in my head because it was Parlato who said J Cubed University on our podcast, and then I said I think it was mostly not working. You said something, maybe on a comment though. I don't remember. We got some more people in here coming through. Let's see. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Grim Grizz. And ad. Boom.
What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy?
Hey, man.
I really want to eat my taco.
I don't care. Eat up.
All right, cool. All right, okay.
I'm hungry. I'm actually hungry. Those sound good. We had a good dinner. We had some roast tonight.
I had man, I don't want to get into personal stuff. I'm trying to date this chick a little bit, and so I kind of had to
date this chick.
Yeah, yes. Like very beginning stages. There's so much chaos to it, and there's so many. It's not for tonight. It's not for tonight, Christian. But anyways, I kind of was doing like boyfriendish errands and stuff, and so yes, my dinner is super late, and that is why I'm about to smash these things. I'm so hungry. And I was craving, and I had a craving. I was like, I want street tacos. That's something we got in Midland. We got good street tacos. So.
I found a few good spots in my town. I was saying on here, so the solar eclipse is passing over like where I live, and it's going through Texas too, but it's on the other side of the state for you. And have you heard any like wild conspiracies, Matthew, about the eclipse and what's going to happen?
I think in like my very off peripheral social media stuff, maybe seen something percolating up. But yeah, I shot my little shot in the comments, man. That where my brain goes was the famous, and you can kind of extrapolate that too. Is like it's like we were looking at the stars, man, and when people were able to predict those patterns and pay attention to those patterns is one of the reasons I love making that comment in that blue collar stream and that other flotilla, because they called themselves noticisms or noticers or something like that. I was like, yes, you guys are paying attention to patterns. And anyway, so I found that so fascinating when I learned that fact that that was one of the, I think Herodotus, one of the early Greek historians, wrote down, that Thales wielded the knowledge of, predicting a solar eclipse to end a war. I mean, that's big deal stuff. Like that's next level human stuff.
So did he like make a prediction and said, I can predict that something's going to happen? And I feel like I know this story in the back of my head somewhere, but I guess. So you hopped on that stream. What that was making me think of when you were just explaining that was like the noticers. Well, who were, in the Christ narrative of Jesus's birth, the gospel narrative, those were the noticers. They looked at the star and they noticed the change in the star in the sky. And they were noticing like that it was attached to prophecy, that it was attached to this tradition. And so I don't know. That's what that made me think of. So you got on that stream with that group with Chad that Chad went and saw.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a me thing too, because I literally I saw his video and I understood what he was doing. And this is how it happened. I didn't even finish the first video that he documented the flotilla. He in the comments, I was like, man, you're not as extroverted as me. I was like, there's nobody as extroverted as me. Like, and I've mentioned on this, like, I talk to these, I'm in construction. I work with, so it was kind of like this silly competitive thing, right? That was the initial movement, like, hey, Chad, look, and then during work he responded to my comment, was like, bro, they're, I don't know what he said, but he's like, they're streaming right now. He's like, I dare you to go over there. And something in me, we both did. And then I'm working, so I had to hang out all day and listen and listen and listen. And then finally it lasted long enough to where I clocked out and kind of just hung out at work for a little bit. And then honestly, the synchronicity of that, I think you nailed it. Is like, I'm in my high vis, you get like that to that crowd right there. That's an implicit, like, hey, what is this guy saying? You know what I mean? There, I could, so, and you mentioned in your interview the other day about, living in a liminal space. I think that's so relatable to a lot of people. I think there's, I think in a way we can kind of all fall into an archetype and categories, but I think that's so relatable to how you articulated that very well. Because yeah, I've kind of, I've kind of noticed some of that in my life too, where we have these sophisticated conversations, right? But you want to be able to dive back into that real world and communicate those ideas. And I thought that was a great chance to do that. And so I was dying to get on there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I texted Chad and I was like, Chad, you can go places I can't go. I was like, they would have called me a pejorative. And yet Chad looks so badass over there, like with this cigarette smoke coming out of his mask. I was like, and he had just like, it was like the perfect puff. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's not the liminal space. I'm going to like, but yeah, like you said, like you had your gear on and it was like, oh, this guy's not better than me. This guy, he knows how to get his hands, dirty shit, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I just think that's interesting. What's up, Mr. Turner? Got some waves in here. We got Rocco and Mr. Turner hanging out. the late night show here.
Please excuse me. Christian said it was okay. I could eat. Please excuse me.
I said it was okay. Like, no, Matthew, you can't eat. Don't eat. Oh man. No, dude. I got on here because I was talking about the eclipse, and I was hoping for some. Let's see, Mr. Turner or Racco. Do y'all have any ideas or thoughts of conspiracy theories about what happens with solar eclipses? Anything interesting? Any interesting knowledge? It's going to pass over. It's going to pass over. I'm in a zone that it's going to pass over. I'll add it back here. We can look at it. Yeah, like this. Where are we at here? I live in this zone here, and the solar eclipse is going to pass over on Monday. So, I'm just looking for people that have ideas about it. I don't know though. Matthew's slamming his tacos. Hopefully, the thief in the night comes. Ooh, getting a little eschatological there. It's interesting, I don't know how old you are, Racco, but when I was, 15 and I was thinking, and I was being told that the rapture was and it was this exciting thing, I was like, yeah, but I haven't had sex yet. And so I wasn't like that excited about that. Like, I was like, there's things in this world that I think are good that are worth waiting for. But that was always in the back of my mind when people were talking about the rapture. So anyways, Matthew, I'll let you eat. I'll talk a little bit. We got a crew of 11 people hanging out with us right now. So I met Matthew talking mainly about John Vervaeke, and Racco, yeah, says I've made babies. so like you're like, all right, this life's not, I've ascended all the transcendental things of this world, and I'm ready to move on. Yeah. No, I met Matthew talking about John Vervaeke, and we talked the other night. He was sending me some information about information theory, and what else we were talking about was fractal realities. And I don't know, I'm giving him some time to stew. I need him to get the ideas going. I need him to get the Matthew Parlato pressured speech. He's just. I saw you at the tail end of that Grail Country stream today, and I left a comment because you turned the camera on, you weren't in the picture, and then all of a sudden you bounded in and you threw on your glasses, and I said Matthew came in like a wrecking ball on that, like you came in with a force, and you were in your work attire.
Yep. I picked up a shift this morning. And it's fun because on Saturdays I kind of got the whole place to myself.
Gotcha.
No, can we? I don't want to make a left turn. Maybe we can figure out a way to time together. Let's really explore. Because I want to touch on the Enrique stuff, the information theory stuff, because I think I can do it. Let me see. Let's get on this high wire real quick. So if information. Because the information processing theory is basically saying that, you at the base level, you are this singularity of matter and matter energy, or information energy. That's right. He moves to information energy, and basically that you as the singularity. You engage with this field of information, right? All these different patterns, and so they have to, and for information to exist, it has to be distinct from something else, right? and then you're also, because you're relating to reality, you're taking in and communicating, right? So you have this a channel of communication, right? And so like I can touch, you know what I mean? And I can take in information, right? And maybe I can feel a pattern there. It's like, oh, that's sticky, and I can notice the pattern of stickiness. Okay, um, or you can use the channel of communication of the voice. You know what I mean? Of noise. You know, and your ear would be the receiver, and me the speaker would be the transmitter. Anyways, so you can take that all the way down to if information is just these distinct patterns, and so you have to have a good you have to engage with that information, and you are an information processing entity that navigates this world of information, as this entity of information. And so this dynamical relating with this signal theory, right? And taking in good information and well, or valuable, yeah, I want to use the word valuable, valuable information and less valuable information, and there'd be signal to noise ratio. And so I guess what I would say is this is going to work out perfect, because what strikes me with the Thales things is the fractal of, boy, can you just understand that if you can just meditate on what he did and take that all the way back to our primal man, and just say, what does it really mean to be such a sophisticated, uh, you know, valuable engager with the signal, this really wise understanding of the information, this entity, and then be able to communicate that, and take that, paint a narrative to completely alter one of the most horrific and widespread atrocities known to mankind, a war. You know what I mean? It's like, to understand that once you can see that pattern, right? You can of this eclipse, or take it farther back. Once you can notice the pattern, this is why that symbolism. This kind of gets into three topics I've been wanting to talk about, because I've been wanting to hit symbolism for a while. I don't know how long we'll stay on, but you can, once you can notice that pattern and reveal that to others, and they can see the value of that pattern. Boy, can you move the world, and you can also show your value in that.
That goes to Paul had a video about what was, I guess it was part of his section he clipped out and he put it up as video today as part of his Friday live stream about the Inklings, C.S. Lewis, and he was saying that this small hive mind like kind of changed the world. Like a strong friendship that they were all recognizing certain patterns about reality. It like kind of it changed the world, and a lot of it was post-war actually. And then that got me thinking about, well, I mean, it kind of got me thinking about Jordan Peterson with what he's trying to do with ARC. Like Peterson's maps of meaning, like, and his friendship with Jonathan Peugeot, and the fact that they connected on being able to map patterns through symbolism and reality and meaning.
That's
That
exactly what Peugeot mentioned. What struck him about Peterson, he said he was talking about these things in a certain way that only I have been. And I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I think that, so a lot of people look at guys that ascend, and like Peugeot's like getting there with Peterson. Peterson's bringing him with him, really. And it's like, sellouts, go listen to their classic, demo tapes and stuff. And I'm like, dude, they're like, they're taking this and they're like consolidating these ideas. And yeah, man, I haven't tracked down the VNA logo yet to add to stuff like this. But anyways, so, but that's kind of what I see. You're saying if a few people like can recognize the patterns of certain patterns of reality, that they can change the world, or they could stop a war. Well, I mean,
I think it's a recognition of the pattern, and then it's a coordinated, reciprocated navigating forward, forward, upward, and outward, forward, upward, and onward, with now the new paradigm shift. Because this is going to tie into the blue collar conversation now, because I think you're right. I think this is the way only. I think this is how any paradigm shift has ever happened. This is how any good thing has ever been. Is because the other thing I want to hit on is that distributed cognition thing. It's like even Thales. Thales was in a culture too. Okay, it wasn't just Thales that came up and just was like, oh, I could. No, he was doing these very pre-Socratic. Ooh, I don't want to. Let me forgive me on that, because I don't know the exact timeline on that. I don't know the exact timeline, but you get what I'm getting at. He was still in a at least a proto philosophical
I don't know
culture.
what you're talking about, dailies.
Thales is the I think he was a philosopher in ancient Greek that predicted an eclipse and wielded that to end a war, and that was documented by one of the, I think, the first historian, Herodotus, the first, well, I mean, Western historian, the Greek Herodotus.
Yeah.
Um, but my point with that is the distributed cognition thing is to hit right exactly what you're saying, and I think we can even do this. I mean, we're all looking at some of the same things from so many different angles. Like I think even Neil had a mention of this in a streams back. Neil Dado this with like the Renaissance. Like it's again it's this recognition, and then it's this
Thales of Miletus.
Thales of Miletus, and it's this recognition, and then it's this coordinated,
Thanks up.
how we engage with each other, and then to move forward, because it's one thing to notice the pattern, because that's what I want to do with the blue collar thing, because they were calling themselves noticers, and that's what they were noticing the patterns. And so I and Teo did beautifully too with his question about identity. And I saw, we're baked in this stuff at this point, right? I just saw it from a mile away when he did it, and he did it pretty succinctly. Like he got right to it. He asked them, what does it mean to be Canadian? And I even said in the comments, I don't know if anybody go back to that, but I said he's drawing them out. He's adducing them into theological waters. Watch him work. Watch it. And that's exactly what it is. And Buddy drinking beers, running the stream, nailed it. He goes, Buddy, it'll take all day. He was gesturing to the depth of the conversation, and then beautiful Tayo comes in and just puts the bow on it and says, your intuition is right, brother, with the depth of that question. He admits, he comes clean and says, yes, there was a little bit weirder notion of that question, brother. It was to induce you into this depth of what is an identity. It's this deeper thing of what do you do? These values, and that was where we were pushing. And so it's not only this recognition of the pattern. You have to also recognize the pattern, and then be able to, in your distributive cognition, which is very interesting right now with atomized individual modernity, age of gnosis, is that to recognize the patterns, the profound pattern, the important pattern, amongst your distributive cognition, and then engage with your distributive cognition, or reorder. Retribe is a good word I picked up in that live stream. Get to your new little community, your small new community that's going to make a new thing, and then navigate forward. So there's like a kind of a threefold thing there, right? It's the noticing, all right, let's coordinate, and then let's take the step, or let's orient, then let's take the step. How about that?
Upcycle says that live stream was really epic. Close encounters of the TLC kind. Chad, Teo, and Matthew.
Hey, 1 sec. That means so much. I finally got Chad's phone number, and I exchanged with him, and I was hoping I wasn't being too forward. He confirmed it, but I know also that he was a part of it. But I said the same thing. I said, I think today was very special. I think just the notion of really, putting this stuff to the test. Neil mentioned it this morning on a live stream. He was giving me so many flowers. I'm so grateful. It's so much credit to this community. If you could ask my family about my communication skills, it'd be a very, very interesting notion for them to see how Neil was speaking of that encounter yesterday. But in the same thing with Tayo, I've have a way of kind of Discord privately chat with Tayo, and I said the same thing. I was like, Tayo, I thought it was, we don't use this word lightly, synchronicity, but I thought it was divine. I thought he was divine in that moment. I was like, this was, you did, every move was perfect.
Yeah. It's really cool. The the way the way this yeah, it's cybernetic conversation. I picked up that from Jordan Hall on a podcast. I can't remember what it's called. It's kind of has to do with it's called Win-Win podcast that he was on probably 6 months ago or something. And he starts talking about a cybernetic conversation, and that, and I was totally relating to it because I've got a buddy here in town who started following along. I've known him for like over 10 years, and
I'm
he's
so
like,
happy for you.
well, and it's a complicated thing because like I used to be like a small group leader, and then I was on staff, and then it's been like it's a small town, and my story, and like so it's like we've reconnected in the last year. We're kind of doing some church together, so we had well, he was wanting to become Greek Orthodox, and so there's like this whole thing, and I'm like, well, you should check out this guy, and hey, follow along this. I talked to this dude. And all of a sudden he's like in this conversation.
So beautiful.
And so he's like listening to me while he's cutting people's hair sometimes, like if they're like old deaf people. And no offense to old deaf people, but like, so he was like, I was like, man, we need to get together and have breakfast again, man. And he was like, I was like, I haven't talked to you in a while. He's like, yeah, but you've been talking to me like a bunch. And I was just like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
and then
that's cybernetic.
And so we can pick up he's the conversation like can just start, and then like my father-in-law also follows along, and so I'll just get this giant text like about hey, what was this, and we have to kind of like when our families not go all in all crazy, but it's this conversation, but then that conversation is happening like this way, and then there's other people, there's comments, and then there's the live stream thing, and then you guys are going out to that place, like it's really wild.
Well, and by the way, I want to mention two things. One thing, there was a comment in that stream that one guy explicitly came out. I read it. I read my 2 hours. He said, "Chad, what's your channel? I'm interested in what you guys are doing." Like from that little hour in encounter with us, and who knows if he was there for the whole hour, but those words were typed out from some human soul.
Yeah.
So, that's a start. And then the other thing with the cybernetic, this goes where my brain is. And I think you're right. I think and this could be like part of this paradigm shift of whatever is going on is whatever's going on in this moment is, like you said, conversations are almost transforming, right? That we're in this kind of, if you can get into the conversation, you're now in this cybernetic conversation. It's like, and then the notion that where I come, and I can't believe I can't think of the credit. I feel so bad I can't think of the credit, but it's on Vervaeke's network, is this notion of synthetic philosopher. And it reminds me right of what I loved with when I got, when I learned from John Vervaeke, the notion of the synoptic, the cognitive science synoptic approach. And it's like, it hit me on as the fractal. It's like humans are synoptic. It's like I need the gestalt. I need the most efficient. I need the gist. I need, give me what, that's life. I need to be the multifaceted, the niche the niche jumper. And so the synthetic philosopher notion was dropped. And I really appreciate it, because I think also it's just in my kind of construal of the cognitive scientists, it's like taking this notion of, I think cognitive science is, profound. It's kind of why I beat that drum. It took me all the way back, to Christianity. That was the road for me. John Vervaeke's cognitive science, Zen Neoplatonism. That's where I was at with my Buddhism, and that gently, beautifully, lovingly just carried me back into Christ's arms. Like that's the image but yeah, so it's like this paradigm shift. It's like a lot of things are transforming, right? If the notion of what it's going to take to be the wise conversationalist, the wise human, like let's get out of the conversationalist, let's get you just embodied. I'm okay with conversations because I like to emphasize, the embodied speech. It's like that conversation is an act. right? You are doing something when you are choosing. You know what I mean? It comes down to attention, right? We can take it all the way down to attention. But yeah, so there's some paradigm breaking stuff. It's very interesting.
That made
I
me
think that
think. That made me think about when you were talking about synoptics. About, have you ever heard about the synoptic gospels?
no, man. I've heard just barely a couple times that has rung a bell recently, that those terms, and I haven't looked it up yet. That's so
It's
crazy you said it.
Matthew,
And
Mark, and
I've heard,
Luke. It's Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
because
John is kind of
I'm
it.
Mr. Biblically illiterate, man. You guys can all school, and this is TLC stuff, like genuine.
Yeah.
School me.
So
Like that's why I love the
when you're talking
federation
like that,
stuff.
made me think about this, like the synoptic gospels were like, people in the when I talked to Brendan Graham Dempsey about the historical critical nature, like, oh well, look at these three books that are supposed to be telling the same story, and oh my gosh, look at these inconsistencies. That's kind of the picking apart of the synoptic gospels. Like, aren't they supposed to be telling the same story? Well, this one said this one happened here, and this one said that happened here, or something like that. And but the way that you were describing it, or the way we understand just even conversation, like, well, imagine if we were going to play back the last 3 to 6 months of our experience with this, but we would both end up pretty much telling the same story, like kind of, and that's kind of like the conversation I'm having with people. Is there's like a synopsis of, hey, there was this guy Jordan Peterson, and there was this whole movement with this thing, and then these other guys out of Canada like John Vervaeke and Jonathan Bijot, like they start talking about these things, and I'm talking about these things, and you're talking about these things, and then man, this crazy thing happened. That's like we're both like giving a synopsis of this thing that's happening through story and conversation, and I don't know. But that is kind of what I see, and I think that this, I was having a conversation that I'll be releasing in a few days with a guy named James Cortides, and he's yeah. So we were talking about like 7-year increments, and that like we've been saying, or I've been saying, like this is 7 years out from big tragedy in my life, but also 7 years out from basically what happened in 2016 when Peterson kind of like took off, and that we're like entering into this next phase of what's the next 7 years is the fruit of that labor coming, like emerging and coming to fruition or whatever. But
No, you kind of just took it to where my insight was. When I was like, it's like the synopsis goes, the fractal goes up as well, right? It's like the. It reminds me of the Pajot. It also connected with what Pajot said. Is like that's what a movie is, right? You're not going to put all the details uh, uh, of the experience, right? You're gonna have this overarching narrative, and yeah, the 7 years thing. I kind of my intuition just is like, yeah, in my life I can just see like there's been clips of that's kind of how the jumps have gone. And Cortita is like, yeah, I'm a huge fan. Tragically, there's just too much, man. I have not gotten to a lot of his stuff. Like just recently I found some of his, I've also been kind of circling back. Like I just went back to navigating patterns. Mark Lefebvre, one of his early interviews with PVK. Like I hadn't seen that interview. It's just there's too much. It's
yeah,
overload. The finitudal predicament. So I've seen a couple, but I'll tell you this. He has gone very much down a similar journey as myself when it comes to the political philosophy. I don't want to really push that much further. And I don't necessarily know where he has landed, now because I'm very much unplugged from that. I've kind of realized that whatever notion I had in my head is dying and or perhaps dead, and so it's time for new. It's
yeah,
rebirth time. This is I'm not worried about old political paradigms, man.
disenchanted,
Yeah, yeah,
looking for something with more enchantment.
but yeah, like his stuff on Dugan. That's pretty like yeah. I'm big. Yeah, I pay attention to Dugan. I'll say that.
I guess we gotta be careful with that because it got it. I think it
Just
got it.
because it's not worth any of it. Yeah, right. And exactly right. You actually do have to be, which is so crazy. Which is also something Chad, just to circle back one more time. It's also something Chad did very, very well, and it's so beautiful how it laid out. When in that blue collar, I'm just going to call it the blue collar stream. I don't want to be very respectful. Um, in the blue collar stream, Chad was so empathetic because I listened to it all day. Remember, me and him both jumped in. Like I don't even know who got in first. I might have been in there. There might be a chance that I was in there. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? Look at my little weird competitive. But anyways, he was so empathetic with him, brother. He I just I, he was so empathetic. I can't say anything. He was just over and over, just like, oh my gosh, I see what you guys are talking. And so it was almost like we got stages of this persona of TLC, and then so it was like this super empathetic layer that Chad laid down, and then there was this super like perspectival sharing of Tayo that was also kind of shocked because you could tell, and they admitted that they make like race. It's like, okay, well, here's a British Nigerian cat that
Doesn't fit
who's
their
super
categories. Kind of,
well
yeah.
and is so respectful and likable. It's like, who's gonna crack the joke now? You know what I mean? Like see y'all put y'all money to your mouth. You know what I mean? And honestly, I don't want to push that too far because that disposition and life experience, whatever that might could happen. But my point is, so then you had this very just like confrontation with this perspectival shift, and then I came in with, this is what I don't want to sound angry. I don't hold back a lot of that stuff. Like I know that's what Neil kind of was mentioning. Like he was like, "Here comes the Vervaeke speak and stuff," and there was some of that. Though I think I had a more JP focused take on it since I've looked back at it. But anyways, it's like, yeah, I was gonna bring some of the arguments. I brought in Carl Schmidt. I brought in the friend enemy distinction. I brought in value structures. I brought in trying to escape the game. I brought in zero sum games. It's like, I think the only thing I probably did pet on too heavy was maybe the Christian tone. I probably should have just. I think I should have went in with the term sacred, and maybe that's a way to refine, right? Is going with sacred. I think Chad used that term, and I think that's very helpful for certain worldviews today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Hey, dude, I've got a morning tomorrow, and we took this thing to a really fun place.
Cool.
So I'm gonna shut her down.
All right,
But dude, it's good to hang with you. I just made a comment about, or Neil. You can go Neil Daedalus on our conversation. He was watching it like tonight or something, and he made a nice comment on there about you. You should go check it out.
God bless.
All right, man. Have a good night. Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out on the unofficial Virtually Not Alone network. All right, man. We'll see you guys later.